do.
Yeah, and in terms of the additional measures, just leading on from that you've introduced locally, can you just explain what those are and what the rationale is for introducing those extra measures?
Yes, I will do. And this is quite complicated, I'm afraid. But and what we've taken is a range of escalated measures. So the first thing we've done is that we've created a COVID-19 prevention zone for Blackburn, which means that we are going to undertake a series of very targeted preventative interventions focused on reducing spread and risk in the populations that are showing higher rates. On top of that, last week we introduced 5 measures that would increase prevention in specific situations. And those 5 measures are, the first one is that we're asking families to not meet 2 families in a household in one house, but 1 family plus only 2 members of the second household. The second measure was that we were asking everyone to wear cloth face masks in public space, not just in shops as has been started today, but in every enclosed public space. The third thing is we're asking people not to shake hands or hug and just do elbow bumping, because we've noticed a lot of that, and it is a very surefire way of passing on the virus if you've got it and the other person hasn't. The fourth measure is that we are increasing the inspection of small shops where we think they're struggling, some of them, to stick to the COVID safe guidance. Although I have to say that our inspections over the last week have shown a very high level of compliance with that, which is great. And we've offered advice and support to those shops that look like they're not doing very well on that. And the last measure, of course, is the one I've mentioned, which is that we're massively increasing testing and encouraging everybody to come and be tested. So that's the second layer of what we're doing. The third layer of what we're doing is that we have ourselves said that the gyms that were due to open tomorrow on the 25th of the 7th and indoor exercise facilities should not open. And we have held back the opening of those within our own council-owned leisure services. What we've agreed yesterday with the Minister is going to extend that through a special intervention measure through Secretary of State powers to make the situation in Blackburn the same for the private sector gyms and indoor activity places as for the council ones. And so we will be excluded from the lockdown easing measures that were planned to be lifted tomorrow in that group of businesses. The reason why that group of businesses was the last to be unlocked down or to be eased nationally was they are often the highest risk places, the places where we know there's a specific risk of infection if they're not very carefully controlled. So we're collaborating with government on that. We're grateful for their support, and we're encouraging all businesses over this weekend who are in that category to comply. And we've got public protection officers who will be going around offering support and advice, not seeking to charge anyone if they haven't realised that's part of Blackburn specific measures, but we'll be offering support and guidance and advice. On top of that, and implied within that, is that the shielding advice is also going to be different for the period of these controls for Blackburn with Darwen. So the advice on shielding, which was changed on the 6th of July, was that if you were shielding, you could go outside with one other person, take some exercise. The one person you go with should continue to socially distance. You should avoid having anyone in your house. You could meet others in the garden as long as social distancing was adhered to, but you couldn't go to enclosed public spaces such as bars or restaurants where the risk was higher, lots of people. So that was advice to shielders. That advice was due to be completely lifted on 1st of August for all shielders, and it will be for the rest of the UK, but for Blackburn and one other local authority in this situation of having higher rates, those shielders will have to stick to that existing 6th of July guidance. In other words, they won't be able to go out as freely as everyone else to pubs and restaurants and things. Those people shielding in Blackburn with Darwen in the category I've mentioned will get letters informing them of this from the Department of Health and Social Care, and that guidance will give them clear instructions. We will also have instructions on that on our own COVID website section on the council's website. and that does apply specifically to residents who are shielding in Blackburn with Darwen only. And the last thing is, in terms of these measures, is we will be massively increasing the testing, as I've mentioned, and we will want everybody to cooperate with both the testing and the test and trace advice. We are looking with national government as part of a further measure, not just that the people who go through 119 and get tested and then get rung up to ask for their contacts so they can be traced. We were going to work with central government to see whether we locally can do some of that contact tracing, because we're aware that the national system is struggling to pick up everybody, basically because people aren't answering the phone to an anonymous telephone number. And we are going to see what more we can do locally to help the national system get the rates of successful case contacting and then contacts traced by having a local team that may well go out and door knock effectively. If people can't be contacted by phone, we may well be doing some door knocking, but we'll announce more on that as the system gets up and running. So it's a complex picture, but there's a lot there. I'm sorry, but there's a lot there, but I think it's important that everyone understands what's going on, and this is going on at pace, so things are changing almost daily. And of course, what we're doing is we are trying to be successful to, as quickly as possible, drive these numbers down so that Blackburn with Darwen gets out of any measures that are different from the rest of the country as soon as possible.